was it that you were thinking when you started doing this? And you can learn all of these lessons about what was in the mind of the child before you go ahead and based on that, you expose him to question that makes him think.
And then you give them the beating.
Yeah,
I don't think I beat my child.
No, I ain't gonna beat my children, but I'm going to teach them that, if they're dissecting random animals, those animals could have some serious fucking diseases.
Yeah, that's true. So that, of course, you need to make clear.
So, James, what did you find out?
Well, it was pretty nasty, and I didn't like it, to be honest.
So you were just curious. You weren't just fucking sitting there just poking it and stabbing it in the eyes and everything else.
No, I just wanted to look. There were just a lot of dead animals around the place where I grew up because it was in the middle of the forest. So I could just find like a dead snake, and I wanted to know what it looks like inside.
Yeah, I understand kids will poke fucking dead things with sticks and everything like that. That I understand because kids just want to see if it's fucking alive and what it is the first time they see something dead, because normally that is the first instance a child sees something dead is going to be something on the side of the road or in the woods or something like that. So I can understand poking it with a stick, but fucking completely going to get a knife, coming back and cutting it open on the side of the road or in your backyard, that's a problem.
No, I just had a knife on me.
I think it's a manifestation of something more subconscious.
As I said, I pretty much grew up on my own, so I just had a knife on me all the time.
Because if my child randomly at dinner is like, what does the inside of mommy and daddy look like? I'm going to be a little fucking creeped out in my sleep that my child might cut me open to see.
Oh. I'm gonna have nightmares.
Public dissections were a part of like the Elizabethan times in England, and humans were fascinated with what was on the inside, and it used to draw huge crowds to see cadavers get dissected and opened up for the crowds. And humans had a huge fascination of what was, what your guts were composed of.
I just remember now that I used to ask my dad those questions. Maybe that's why they never let me close.
I think it might be more of an even existential kind of, drive or manifestation. That's what I think it is.
I guess it depends on how that curiosity is nurtured, because there's just some people that want to understand the human body and then they become professionals. But then there's people that like human bodies so much they become necrophiliacs or fucking serial killers.
But now we're all the way back to what me and Nagat said in the beginning, is that you expose them to the right stimulus to foster that curiosity, and then you of course observe and ask questions that help you understand where the mind of the child is in the whole process, so that you can set up so that you can feed it with whatever pieces of knowledge you think is useful for the child to further develop an opinion at the time.
Nothing is better than nature, really, the outdoors or a farm-like environment. Kids will learn a lot through the different cycles they observe on that type of rural atmosphere.
Exactly. All human beings are like born scientists. You want to turn things over and see the causal effects of anything, and then we teach them to shut up and sit and be quiet. And then all the work needs to be reversed later on to get them curious again.
I'm going to be all for teaching my children how to kill animals for survival, but just for the pleasure of killing things, probably not. Yo, Contra, is that from one of those weird ass videos that's on like the dark side of YouTube?
Yeah, I forget who shared it last night. I think it was Illis Bambi. I've become
What up?
obsessed with it.
Oh, David Firth?
No, the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Oh, nah, I forgot who it was. Don't make me, I'm scared. That's just scary, yo.
Or that one, what's that one where it's like a teddy bear or whatever, and they're like sewing it all together, but then it has all these like fucking organs and everything else inside the teddy bear. They're like some sprinkles and
Happy Tree Friends.
Oh shit, happy tree
no,
friends.
it's like a real teddy bear. They just like put all this stuff. The teddy bear's got cancer or something like that.
Weirdest thing I've ever seen, anyway.
Don't hug me, I'm scared.
Yeah, that shit's weird, bro.
No, it's
I've
Teddy
seen
has an operation.
Stay a while and listen.
That's not how you spell Chalice. I love the title of this video.
This is the book that you guys are probably going to have to get for your kids.
Why is there a server in the house?
Now that's funny.
That's for mommy and daddy's porn collection.
Yeah, we made that together. It's 8K.
Funny, I was thinking of Inertia and his Minecraft server, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna have to explain that to my children as well, because I'm setting up a home network with servers. So I'm probably gonna have to explain why there's fucking heat coming out of this random room.
I think a kid will figure it out pretty fast. I mean, look how young we were when this was coming of age. I think kids will pick it up even faster.
Yeah, I think in the future that servers are probably going to be a staple in home cells, so it's probably going to be pre-built in.
Oh man, it's vilifying work and telling the child it's boring and all kinds of bad things. I think it's a very dangerous book.
I'm pretty sure it was a joke.
Probably.
No, it's probably very dangerous. Mugcat, if you see your child reading this, what would you do?
I would slap their hand.
Play with knives, play with fire, but don't read that book. It will kill you.
If I see them reading a really bad book, yeah, it's probably better to slap their hand. I'm joking, of course.
Mugcat, what if you walked in and your child was really interested in the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx?
I would ask questions. I would use the Socratic method.
What if your child was a feminist?
Well, I think these things have to have a cause, and so the cause is established way earlier in the child's life. If they're interested in these ideas, it's because their minds have been corrupted in some kind of way.
I don't think being a feminist is probably a bad thing. I think being a feminazi is probably a bad thing, though.
I don't know, some people would object to having that feminism taught to children.
Yeah, man. Women really
You
shouldn't
can
have
teach about
rights.
them, but in an objective manner, sure, you can talk about feminism, but you certainly can't just feed it the way they do that program.
Oh no,
Feminism
I'm not...
is not about rights. It's about establishing special favors for women, using the government as coercion.
But do we know that that's really... I honestly, I probably know the least about it. I think that the rights have been established, and it takes time for society and roles to adjust and people to get comfortable with it. But what is feminism? I don't even. I mean, it gets portrayed like crazy people, but a lot of things do.
Well, you can run by the textbook definition, which is just a fight for gender rights. And according to that definition, I guess most people in the West would describe themselves as feminists. But as someone pointed out, what happens when that's more or less established? But some people still want to wear the slogan. Well, who are they? So that you should separate between feminism by its definition and feminist activism, which is something completely different, which is a bit as Mug had said, you wanting to establish special rights for women. But I would say it's a bit going a bit further than that. It's also actually taking on the same form of autocracy over what other women can do to the same degree as the whole point of feminism was to rid women from,
Patriarchy. Yeah.
patriarchy back in the past, because modern feminist activists are not only saying that men should not tell a woman anything, but that other women should not behave in a special way because then they are quote unquote, selling themselves or whatever is the case. So
Internalized
it's
misogyny.
yeah, exactly. It's a cancer for both sexes.
Yeah, that's what we call feminazis. They're the extreme version of a feminist.
Part of the ideology, I think, is a bit oppressive and has a form of victimhood in it, where women are view themselves as victims and need to free themselves from the oppressors of men. Kind of seems like an attack on the family unit, is what I'm saying. The daddy is now the state. State is the new husband. A modern woman doesn't need a husband in her life. She can raise a kid alone, and the government is the backstop. And without a father in the child's life, it kind of throws everything off. But that's what they're selling to women now. And they say they're oppressed. I think women are, thanks to feminism, are less happy than ever before.
I don't know very many women who buy into it, not in its current form. Almost none. And I, live and work around women who work and earn and make their own decisions and are not abused or oppressed. And I don't know anyone who actually is actively involved in the feminist movement.
Yeah, well, my wife rails against it for sure.
I think it's just more or less like any group. There's going to be an extreme side of it.
Well, I don't really know the correct definition, but over here, just a bunch of angry people. That's it.
Well, I have had to suffer with a middle manager here who's feminazi 2.0. Can't finish can't listen to a white man talking without thinking that he is mansplaining something or white-splaining something if the other person is of color, and who can't seem to, can't hear another opinion without being offended by the existence of the other opinion. And it's it's a good practice for patience, and I get to meditate a little bit more. So that's probably the only positive side effect.
Epicoin, are there not some very reasonable demands by feminists in Nigeria? I believe equality may not have come to Nigeria yet.
Yeah, yeah, we have constant pushing. We have this group of ladies that are they're everywhere. They're in your face. They're everywhere talking about equality. But most times they talk about this equality when it's like kind of favoring them. They don't say it on a neutral ground. My own opinion.
Are there any government granted rights that are different between the two genders?
Basically, no.
So they're fighting for special favors
Yeah. Because traditionally in Nigeria, the average Nigerian family is the man and the wife, and the wife is expected to cook the meal for the house and do the house chores. But right now, with the rise of the feminist movement and all, they are like, no, they can't do that. It's like slavery and whatnot.
So they can slave away in a job instead.
Bit of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit of a cultural clash for sure. But
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
happy balance somewhere in between, right?
Well, I mean, just as all men don't enjoy doing the same kind of work, there is such a thing as not wanting to cook your whole life. I don't want to cook every day. I don't want to cook ever.
And well, if you're a free person, you should not choose a husband if he wants you to cook and you don't want to cook.
And this is why we have the fast food industry.
Yeah, no, that's not a solution. Definitely.
I'm not saying I didn't cook. We didn't live where you could go to McDonald's, so but I'm just saying, to expect that to fulfill every female is like saying all of you should be out building houses or moving rocks or something that it takes your physical differences to do.
Moving rocks.
I can
Well,
move rocks for a few days a week.
you're taller, you're stronger, there are physical differences. I don't even know why people would
Yeah,
deny that, but the physical
And also,
differences.
we're much better at moving rocks.
people deny this physical difference.
I'm
People deny.
joking.
Well, to me, I don't really care whether or not my girl cooks or not. Just once in a while, it's nice. I mean, I'll cook for her, she'll cook for me, and we'll trade off.
We're not just talking about cooking, though. We're talking about housekeeping and looking after a whole house.
Yeah, I'll do all of that stuff
role,
if
right?
I'm able to. If I'm able to, because I pull like 18-hour days, I'll still help when I'm on my breaks, like wash some of the dishes and things like that. I believe stuff like that. That's okay. I mean, it's small shit, but keeping track of all the bills and fucking everything else, I can't really do that. And I guess that's more or less the conversation you need to have with your significant other before you get into it, that there's certain responsibilities one person's going to have to take care of because of a certain lifestyle.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't, I know men who have a hard time holding down a job who are married to a woman who makes the money. I think it's important to have a family unit. I think it's important to negotiate roles. I think oftentimes those roles fit the gender lines, but it doesn't always have to be that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Because typically over here, the man is in charge of the finances while the lady does the housework and all of that.
I grew up believing my mom lived in the hospital because she was always at work.
And is it your feeling today that that had a negative impact on your childhood?
No, it only made me not want to be a medical doctor because I knew that they had no life.
Is your mom a doctor?
Yeah.
Well, especially in socialist countries, because they push themselves too hard sometimes.
Oh, it's the same way here too. You'll have parents that fucking come home like every couple days because they work that often.
But yeah, I'm not saying that all women need to be content with that one universal role, but I just feel that the professional world that a lot of women are, I think, just thanks to feminism, are streamlined into. Maybe more of them would be more inclined to have the role of, say, a housewife. But we need to maybe have a society or culture that respects that role within the home, to take the time to raise children and look after that. And maybe the government should look into, or even the feminist movement just seems to undermine that role, which I think maybe more women would be more inclined to it. But of course, I believe in a free society where women should kind of pursue what they like. But right now, I feel a lot of them are programmed to do something that they necessarily don't want to be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you said that a lot better this time than the last time we had this conversation, because I tend to agree with you. For a while, it was almost looked down upon, but I see that reversing. I see that people who can afford to, the women are often saying, you know, what I really want is to be able to take care of my kids, and it's becoming a status symbol.
And it's quite interesting to see that in countries where equality has come furthest, these gender differences tends to be larger, which often puzzles people that are, on the feminist side of the debate, because they're like, oh my God, with more equality, there should be no differences. But of course, when you have full equality, the only differences you're left to observe are the natural differences. And if there indeed are natural differences, then those will be reflected by that difference.
It's important to specify when you say equality. What you
Equality
mean.
of opportunity.
Well, that's not.
Yeah.
That's the wrong word to use. It's equality of rights, or equality before the law, because opportunity is